Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar all about the employee self-service agent. I'm Lucy Hitz. I'm the product marketer on this really exciting new agent. And I will be I'm joined here today by some of my partners across product and HR tech in Microsoft. So it's going to be an exciting session. And I'm going to share my screen and kick us off and get started. A question we often get at this point is, will this session be recorded and will I have access to it afterwards? It will be recorded, and yes, you will have access to it afterwards. And we will be answering questions in the chat, so please use the chat today to ask any questions you have as we go along, and our speakers will respond to those questions as we go along, and we may even just verbally ask them, as they end their sections. So before we dive in today, just a quick reminder, Employee Self-Service Agent is still in private preview. Some of the things we're going to talk to today are very much works in progress, are confidential. Please do not share this information, outside or across your organization, unless as necessary to have, conversations about how you're going to bring the Employee Self-Service Agent on board in your organization. And please, of course, be respectful of one another and of our speakers today. So we're lucky today to be joined by some experts. We have Silvina, who's our Senior Director of IT Service Management. Welcome, Silvina.
Yeah, great to be here.
Craig Foster, our Director of HR Digital Transformation, who really leads a lot of the work to show the impact of Employee Self-Service Agent in our organization already. And of course, this will grow. So excited to have you here, Craig.
Hey, good to be here. Thanks.
I'm Lucy. I introduced myself earlier, and we have Miriam, who is going to walk you through a very exciting demo and piece of the product as it relates to support and diagnostics for Microsoft 365 products and services. So welcome, Miriam.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Lucy.
So first, I'm going to level set with the group and talk to you about the employee services delivery landscape. We'll talk about the employee self-service agent and the scenarios it will support at a very high level. We'll dive into some scenarios and use cases, and then Miriam will give us sort of a deep overview and demo experience of the IT help desk support for Microsoft products and services. I'll give a full demo of what the kind of total experience will be like from both a user experience, your employee's experience of the product, and then also your configuration experience in Copilot Studio. We'll talk about some internal Microsoft early results. This is where we will pull in Craig. And then we'll talk about roadmap and really what you can expect at public preview and GA. So a lot of exciting content here today. So jumping in, we know that AI for AI's sake is really not going to help anybody, but when we apply it to real world problems, we have a great capacity to transform, for this use case, the employee experience. And one of our biggest goals at Microsoft with all of our technologies, including AI, to create this daily habit and deliver experiences that are transformative, used daily. And we know key pain point in the employee journey revolves around just basic HR and IT support. These are day-to-day problems that employees encounter that matter to them. And our latest research and efforts to understand where AI can better meet employees' needs at work, it turns out that the majority of employees find it difficult to even quickly access company resources and guidelines, and struggle to locate regularly needed workplace tools and services from an IT perspective, which is something that Miriam will touch on in a little while. And these day-to-day problems, the most acute that we find are in the HR and IT services space, but there are also facilities, finance, learning and development, and upskilling. All of those areas are kind of areas of our access. And then, of course, being able to actually take action are real problems for employees that we think that AI is really well positioned to solve. I'm going to pass it over to Craig just to take us through, our own evolution at Microsoft and provide a little color about that, because I think it will echo and maybe look familiar to many of the folks on this call.
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, everybody. This is a bit of a journey through how self-service has evolved at HR at Microsoft, and I know we're not unique, but our starting point of can we get a single canvas for discovery of policies and tools, and essentially collating navigation to make it easier for employees. And the reality at Microsoft is we have over 100 line of business apps in HR. So this idea of making discovery easier was the first part of how we thought through self-service. As time moved on, so we click again here, Lucy, what we find is employees continued to search for an easier path to get the information they needed, an easier path for that piece of data that they really needed to understand their pay or understand what's next for them. And having to go to an intranet site, find a link, then go to a portal they go to infrequently to then find that information was really one of those areas of feedback that we started on this journey of conversation and chat. In 2021, before really the Gen AI wave, we focused on curating Q&A. The most common queries, we got to a fairly high success rate on those common Q&As because we knew the patterns, right? 2,000 curated responses. If you click again, Lucy, you'll see we did have a relatively strong success rate. It was about 56%. So you started to get that ease and that burden. So 20% less employees needing help after they engage with the intranet. So we're seeing a 20% reduction in tickets. But the reality is, it's still only 2,000 questions of the most common scenarios, and there is a very long tail after that. So right now, what we're investing in and what we've been investing in with our colleagues developing employee self-service is really trying to meet employees where they're at. And today they're in this conversational interaction. That habit is being built within Microsoft Copilot or externally with ChatGPT or Claude or others, and really building on that pattern and building on that habit is really where we focused our front door of employee experience. And our goal with ESS is really to have that entry point, that single conversation where employees can find their policy information. It can be in the right context for them when they need it. They can retrieve information from databases or tools that they infrequently visit in an easier pattern. And where possible, complete those tasks in line so they can get in and out effectively and efficiently. And that really helps us build that pattern for how we then extend into other values, as Lucy mentioned, whether that's into learning, into career, or into other areas. This idea of building a habit around employee self-service is the front door. And back to you, Lucy.
Thanks, Craig. And we know that, AI, kind of bringing the AI experience and the HR experience together for the employee in this sort of employee-facing chatbot, although I don't love that term, is a number one use case for Gen AI for HR leaders. So I think a lot of organizations are going through, and from many conversations with customers as well, are going through what Craig has talked about, which is understanding, okay, so now the technology has kind of caught up to our fundamental goals around employee services delivery, and we want to be there to take advantage of that and deliver that value to our employees. So to do that, at Ignite, we introduced the Employee Self-Service Agent, which is a new set of capabilities to answer policy-related questions and simplify HR and IT-related tasks for faster resolution, helping to improve this employee experience. So the agent will make it easy for employees to retrieve information from authoritative sources and deliver personalized responses based on their context. So an example of this being, I'm not just going to get a regurgitation of what might be on my HR web or my SharePoint site. The agent is going to understand context about me as an employee, such as my hire date, how long I've been with the company, my role type, my geographic region, and it's going to incorporate that in its conversational response while also footnoting me to the source material for the policy information so that, if I want to go deeper, I can. And then it's also going to make it easy to take action on essential HR and IT tasks in line without having to navigate to multiple tools and workspaces. And this is, as you'll see in a little bit, going to include help in running diagnostics on Microsoft products and services. And of course, this is very important because we know that usually when you ask a policy question or you ask a question about a problem you're having when it comes to HR or IT issues, you don't just abstractly want to know an answer. You probably are then going to want to take action. So usually after an employee asks, hey, how much PTO do I have left? They want to be able to request PTO. Or if an employee says, this thing on my device isn't working, like how do I make it work? They don't just abstractly want to know how to make it work. They want it to be solved and move on with their day, right? And then the third key area here to emphasize is while the employee self-service agent is going to be configured and customizable in the Copilot Studio with pre-configured no-code templates for key workflows and then your connectors to your third-party HR and IT systems. So you get that faster time to value because that's all pre-built for you. So all you have to do is connect and configure. I'm going to show a video here, which is, I think, a really nice, just high-level overview. Certainly doesn't get at all the functionality and capabilities that the employee self-service agent will have, but I think gives a really nice, clean overview of what it does. If you can hear it, please give a thumbs up. And if you can't, please let me know in chat.
In the new era of AI, Copilot and agents have the potential to reimagine the employee experience. Introducing the Employee Self-Service Agent in Microsoft 365 Copilot. The agent delivers fast, accurate answers to policy questions and simplifies workplace tasks, starting with HR and IT support. It works with you and even for you. Get personalized information based on employee profile data and easily delegate tasks like updating profiles, checking ticket status, and requesting leave, all in one place. The Employee Self-Service Agent is tailored to your company's policies, benefits, and documentation, drawing on data in the Microsoft Graph, knowledge resources, and connected HR and IT apps. Employee Self-Service Agent makes your Microsoft 365 Copilot experience work better for you. And in Copilot Studio, HR and IT teams can further customize, configure, and enhance the agent. This means fewer support tickets, time back for HR and IT teams, and higher employee efficiency and satisfaction. Empower users and streamline processes with a single starting point for employee answers and actions. From planning parental leave to resolving technical issues, ensure a seamless, supportive employee experience with the Employee Self-Service Agent in Microsoft 365 Copilot. Now in private preview.
Hopefully that was helpful. And I'll just go a little deeper in each of these kind of key areas of retrieving information, task completion, and the configuration on the back end. And then we'll go a little bit more specific into some of the scenarios that we'll be lighting up. So for retrieve information, you'll be able to find answers to common workplace policy questions, as I mentioned, and you'll get those tailored responses based on employee data. So example, your location and sensitive topics. And I'll go a little bit more into the configuration there because we do know that while HR teams want, they don't want to manually curate answers to every question. There are certainly workflows that they do want to be able to tailor for employees due to compliance, due to sensitive topics. And of course, I'll talk about that a little bit more later. So the other thing that you will be able to do when it comes to retrieve information is personalize data from any third-party system. So your Workday, your SuccessFactors, your ServiceNow that you set up. So you'll get that kind of completeness. So, as an example here, if I am a US employee and I only qualify for parental leave through my company after a certain amount of time with my company, and I've only been with my company for 3 months, but I have to be with my company for a year to qualify for their paid parental leave. If I go into the agent and say, hey, what's my parental leave? it's not just going to kind of dump for me a huge, long, response with the general policy. It's going to tell me, hey, you need to be with the company for a year to qualify for the parental leave. Here's what that will come with at that time, and go here to learn more, right? As opposed to saying, here's all the information about leave, which is not personalized or relevant to me. And then when we go to take action, this is where you'll be able to start to complete those support-related tasks. So I'll be able to log my PTO hours, start a leave of absence request, submit my IT help desk ticket or my HR help desk ticket, retrieve status updates on tasks. This is where you really start to kind of bring everything together in the single starting point, which we hear again and again from customers, is important. Important to note here, though, that we've also heard from customers that while they want a single starting point, the kind of end vision is a single starting point for HR and IT issues, and of course, expanding to more scenarios as well. They want different experiences on the back end when it comes to customizing and connecting and configuring. And so that's important to note that there will be separate experiences in the Copilot Studio experience for the HR admin and the IT admin, so that you'll be able to kind of control that experience and the like vendors that you manage. So getting to the Copilot Studio experience, this is where you'll be able to configure the agent. But the team is doing a ton of work to make sure that you're not starting from scratch. So that it will be a matter of simply, approving and customizing workflows that are pre-built. And I'll show you what that will kind of look like. And connecting your systems of record. And then, tailoring those responses to sensitive topics that are important to your organization. I'm going to talk about these key HR scenarios, and then I'm going to pass it over to Silvina to talk a little bit about not only some of the key IT scenarios that we're lighting up, but also what our kind of C0 approach is. That means internal Microsoft approach is in terms of our own rollout, what our goals have been around that. And I think that will kind of help bring it to life a little bit and kind of pull it together in terms of what does a rollout actually look like of the employee self-service agent in a global enterprise. But first, I'll just talk about these key HR scenarios, and then I'll pass it over to Sabina to talk about the IT ones. So here you're going to see knowledge retrieval and task completion. We've kind of broken down these scenarios by those types. So, knowledge retrieval, just to give some specifics, things like, can I extend my maternity leave? What are my company holidays? Do I have training due? Task completion, like help me transfer my direct report, update my name, update my home address. I need to take a sick day, etc. And you'll see the Microsoft built connectors that we're prioritizing for our public preview and GA on the right there. We'll of course extend beyond that, and I'll talk a little bit about roadmap towards the end. But those are sort of the primary ones because we've talked to many customers, and these are the ones that are the must-haves for a successful product. Okay, with that, Sabina, I'll pass it over to you.
Thanks, Lucy. So very similarly to HR, the focus is on knowledge retrieval and task completion. You can see, the different scenarios we are focusing on as for private preview and beyond. Lots of different scenarios, mainly focus on IT, like top issues in Alert Center, Outlook connectivity, how do I set up or fix my phone authentication. One that we kind of receive a lot of requests for is when people cannot connect to the VPN. So we already have, similarly to HR, built-in connectors with Alchemy, SharePoint, Intune, and ServiceNow. One thing to remark is that as part of Zero configuration, Alchemy self-help content for Windows and any Microsoft product will will be there out of the box, but certainly you have the ability to augment it with your own internal content sources. As part of task completion, we offer integration with ITSM solutions. In our case, we use ServiceNow, so a user can log a ticket, ask for the status of a ticket, get update a ticket. Also, one troubleshooter that we use a lot is about device compliance, making sure that we have the context, what are the devices that our employees have as part of their assets, and we can provide information on whether those devices are compliant and might be affecting other issues they are experiencing. So Lucy, if you want to move to the next slide. So as Lucy mentioned, I won't go through all the details, but this is to give you a sense of our deployment approach. So internally within Microsoft, customers here is taking a phased approach to roll out employee self-service across the company. So right now we are focusing on HR and IT with a gradual ramp up with the target of completing the deployment for all Microsoft employees before the end of the first half of 2025. One important thing to highlight is with each rollout, we are reviewing the feedback that our users are providing, and we make adjustments, based on that. We are putting a lot of focus on measuring the impact for our employees, looking at productivity gains, satisfaction, the quality of service, but we are also looking at the delivery and operational side, measuring ticket elimination, whether we are improving, the assisted experience or not, and also looking into cost reduction as a result of, ticket elimination, as well as being able to resolve issues faster. We are also exploring diagnostics and troubleshooters integration to boost productivity and reduce IT support tickets. And, Mariam, my partner here, will explain this further. So passing it to you, Mariam.
Thank you so much, Silvina. Let me just take control and move to the next slide. All right. As Silvina mentioned, I will be talking about IT help desk support for Microsoft product and services in employee self-service. So you are going to get this embedded experience that will help you support Microsoft product and services more efficiently as part of the core package of employee self-service. Obviously, you have a chance to customize or disable it if you chose to. But the reason that we're bringing this is that in many conversations with our customers, we heard that a good portion of the questions that they are getting in their help desk are related to supporting Microsoft products like Teams, Outlook, Windows. So we are bringing a set of self-help solution and diagnostic right away to you with zero configuration effort, because we want to make sure that your users are going to get the most out of this product with least maintenance effort and configuration effort and cost for your IT help desk. So in terms of our goal is to really increase their productivity, satisfaction by leveraging these products more often, but also for your help desk, reducing the tickets associated with supporting these products, reducing the maintenance and creation effort in creating so many of those KB articles for these products, and also in Microsoft, we follow a very agile model. So many of these products are getting updated frequently. So you don't have to spend time to updating those KB articles associated, but rather just take what Microsoft has to offer right away. As part of these solutions, there will be various types of solutions we are enabling. There are lots of how-to solutions based on Microsoft knowledge-based repositories, examples like how to set up Windows Hello, how to create out of office message for Outlook and so on. We're also bringing a lot of diagnostic and troubleshooters, and these were built by Microsoft product teams. So you will know that they are very well adjusted for the product, and your users can leverage them right away to solve many problems with less effort. Let's have a look at one of this example of one of this troubleshooter. I have a little bit of a demo. I will walk through it. So let's say if the user is asking how to troubleshoot Windows Update in employee self-service. And again, this will be just available and you don't have to do any sort of configuration to get this. The user will get some solutions that is indicating what to do if it is Windows 11, what to do if it's Windows 10. But in addition to that, you will see that the user get this option that it is asking for their permission to run the Windows app that will try to diagnose and fix the issue on behalf of the user. So if the user gives that permission, the Windows app starts running. I recorded this demo actually 2 days ago, so this is a feature that is already live as part of the core package. That's why you will see some of these delays, but I think the users prefer to just sit back instead of following many of those things. Here we're asking one clarifying question so the user can be more specific in the issue. So we run the right diagnostic, then giving more information to the user what this diagnostic does. It is trying to scan for needed Windows Update and try to install them. If the user gives that permission, it goes ahead with trying to do so. Yeah, so as you will see, we'll conclude, but I want to take this time to say that Anna kindly is going to post one poll. It would be really helpful for us to just kind of answer and help us how valuable you find this set of features. This was only one of the example of the troubleshooters, but in general, having that embedded support for Microsoft products in your help desk, it would really help us make sure that we are following the right direction and also how much more we want to invest in this feature. If your feedback will be super valuable for us to understand how valuable this set of features will be for your help desk. So really appreciate if you take a couple of seconds to answer the poll question, but also if there's any immediate question or anything that comes up to your mind, I'll be happy to either you raise your hand or we can just kind of take it off on the chat. Just giving it a few seconds. All right, thank you so much. I see the answers coming in. Thank you for filling out the form. Let's move to the next section. So in addition to the self-help and all the diagnostic that we are bringing, we're also looking to bring some of the tools that really helped us reduce cost in our own help desk and drive a much more efficient help desk over the years for our customers, as well as for internal and external customers, to employee self-service. So one of these tools that has been super helpful for us was detecting outages and managing the notification around outages and also measuring the cost of outages. Outages in help desk is inevitable. At some point, it's bound to happen, but it's about how we can actually detect them much earlier, post the right notification to the user, manage the cost in terms of both money and also the productivity impact to the employees in help desk. So one of the tools that we are planning to bring, and this hasn't been implemented yet, but it is in our vision to bring this to you, is detecting those spikes much earlier and allowing IT help desk to know, and both, it's not just IT help desk, it's actually for employee self-service in general. It can be leveraged by HR as well, to let them know that, okay, we think these are some of the potential outages. And if the admin actually verified that's an outage, they can post some notification to the employee that will help the employee to know that, okay, this issue that they're facing is not just for them, it's actually a much broader outage. So that information will be super helpful for the employee. But in addition, admins to be on top of those outages much faster will help them reduce the support cost associated with many tickets that are being created by these outages, and also getting the right resources to address those outages and reduce the productivity impact of those outages, and also managing the communication around these outages much better. But also for the leadership, it would really help to know after the post outage, what was the impact in terms of cost and productivity, so that they can take measures to reduce that cost and productivity impact for the future outages. There's some mocks that I'm going to just walk you through it as how we're planning to do this. For example, and by the way, the way that we're doing this is we are monitoring all the questions that are being asked. For example, in this case, in employee self-service. If we see that a group of questions or a good group of people are asking questions exactly about the same topic, we detect that, okay, those topics might be because of an outage. In this example, you can see users were reporting that they're unable to use meeting room devices for online meetings. They were creating tickets related to that, and they were also marking those tickets as impacting them greatly. That's why this outage alert was created with a critical severity, and it actually also has the number of the tickets and the tickets associated with it. So it is telling the admins, review these notifications, validate if this is an actual outage, then admins can post a message for that outage to the users. So admins can post this message to tell the next user, okay, we are aware of this outage. We know this is happening and this is the impact of the outage. When you can expect this outage to be addressed, this notification will help the user to not create tickets anymore regarding those outages, but also is still indicating that it was impacted, it impacted them. So they would be receiving some updates once those outages are resolved. And also you would know how many users actually were impacted by these outages. And also those type of detection will help the admins to get the right resources to resolve these issues much faster. And post outage, there will be some analytics for leadership, for admins to understand, okay, how many users were impacted, how many users with those notifications didn't end up creating a ticket. That's the cost that was saved for your help desk. And also in general, how many tickets were created. So you're not really also bombarding your agents with so many tickets when you're able to detect those outages in few hours and getting the right resources up to it. But this post-analysis will be super helpful for the help desk to plan better for the next outages, understanding the scope and impact of those outages, both in terms of, as I mentioned, cost and productivity to the user. So managing the next one better. So again, this was one of the features that is one of the features that we would like to bring for you. There will be a poll question that Anna kindly will post to the chat. Greatly appreciate if you let us know how valuable you would find this feature for your help desk. So it would really help us to make sure that we would put the right priority to it and help us understand if you're on the right direction. I'll take a few minute or a few second pause. And if there is any question, I'll be happy to answer either by raising your hand or we can also take it in the chat. Thank you so much. I'll pass it back to Lucy for the next section, and I'll be in the chat if there's any question for me.
Thank you. So valuable. Please ask any questions you have in the chat while we have Miriam here. And also, even if there are any suggestions for the product in IT help desk space, that would be great to hear in the chat as well. Okay, I'm going to take us through a demo of really what the full experience will be once we get to public preview in GA, and sort of give you a flavor for what this looks like within the employee's life cycle, and also from the admin experience in Copilot Studio. I'm gonna take control here. Okay. So with Microsoft, with the Microsoft 365 Copilot, everyone has their kind of personal AI assistant deeply embedded, integrated in their work. And so now, we're augmenting with these employee self-service agent skills. So you see employee self-service agent pre-pinned here on the right rail. Something I just want to note, because we get this question from customers quite a bit, is yes, you will be able to customize the name of your employee self-service agent. We're going to get a glimpse of the employee self-service agent through the eyes of Kat Larson, a ReliCloud employee, ensuring she has a supportive experience at ReliCloud before starting her new family, all the way through adjusting to life back at work with the right devices, benefits, and resources in place. So Kat's planning to go on parental leave soon. You've just seen her ask the agent, how many vacation days do I have left this year? And it's going to reveal that balance for her. It's going to layer in its response to her, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, additional resources and personalized geography-based suggestions about PTO policy, especially important, of course, to organizations with, global reach. And so the intelligent prompts at the bottom of the screen are going to kind of understand, hey, she might have this question next. So she's going to ask about parental leave policy to learn more. And she finds out that ReliCloud offers 12 weeks of parental leave for her employee type with added flexibility to extend her time off using her available paid leave. Something also to note here is you'll see that based on official sources, kind of tag. And that's something that will be available to configure in the backend in Copilot Studio so that the employee really knows they can rely on this content as the official source for really core and important scenarios to their HR and IT services experience. So now that Kat has all the information, she's ready to apply for parental leave. She doesn't know how. She's going to ask the agent. The agent returns a response here. Here's what you need to do. Again, it's based on official sources. And then it's going to say, hey, but do you want me to help you just apply for this parental leave? Right here. So Kat is going to click Start Request there. And the agent is going to return to her a reminder of, her policy and also the form she can submit. She's going to fill in start and end date. She's going to click submit, receive confirmation her request has been submitted here. And that's going to include a case ID number so she can make adjustments and ask the agent for updates, on the request later. Another thing I usually like to highlight here is if this is connected to your system of record, so your Workday or wherever someone today completes a request for parental leave or for anything HR related. If your system that you use today, your HR IT system triggers a confirmation email, that same confirmation email is going to be triggered for, Kat in this case. And I bring that up because sometimes employees really want to see that kind of like official, I got the email, so I know I did it, and that will, anything you already have set up will be reflected still in that respect. So now Kat has returned from parental leave and she knows she can turn to the employee self-service agent for trouble she's having accessing company resources on her phone. And since this is a common query with changing security requirements at ReliCloud, it's going to show up as that pre-configured prompt on her home screen. She clicks in and submits her question. It's going to return these steps that she needs to take. Of course, for Microsoft products and services, it will also do things like diagnostics and troubleshooting, as Miriam kind of showed us. But in this case, Kat still needs more help. She does not have to navigate away from her employee self-service experience to go to another site. She's going to ask the agent for help right here. And she's going to be prompted to start a help desk ticket directly from the agent. So Kat's going to take the agent up on its offer. She clicks Create Help Desk Ticket. And she can complete her ticket right here, powered by ServiceNow in the employee self-service agent. It will pre-fill for her based on what's come previous in the chat, and then she'll have the ability to sort of customize. And this demo doesn't show that, but it will. So Kat's resolved her IT issues now that she's back at work, but she's having trouble kind of adjusting and navigating hybrid work challenges with her manager. So she turns to the agent for help. So this is sort of an example of that sensitive topic handling that I think someone brought up in the chat a bit earlier. So the employee self-service agent uses its fine-tuned LM to identify this as a task which requires human intervention, recognizing the sensitivity of the matter. The agent identifies need for human assistance and connects CAT directly to HR support for further help. You'll be able to customize, as I'll show you in topic workflows, what this response looks like, exactly what you want this experience to be like. Do you want to be passed off to a live agent? Do you want to be create a help ticket or create an HR ticket? Do you want it to be email this person or this alias in particular? You know, you can customize the text of the response to meet kind of your company brand and tone and any compliance guidelines you have. That's all that you'll all be able to do all that in the back end. And you'll also be able to identify if there are specific words, terms, just from a compliance perspective, that you need to make sure that the agent is going to pick up on, and not kind of leave it to the model. You can also identify those in your topic workflows so that you kind of can rest assured. So now we're going to take a look at the Copilot Studio experience for the agent. So as you know, Copilot Studio is our low-code, no-code platform for extending Microsoft 365 Copilot, building agents with ease. You're going to see the employee self-service agent kind of light up on your main page here as an option, and then you'll be able to configure. So here I'm going to go in and configure and go to my overview page here. And this is where I'll be able to use our new pre-configured template connectors to the right authoritative knowledge sources like SharePoint, your HR and IT third-party systems like ServiceNow and Workday. So as Mona Kane, IT admin at Relic Cloud, I visit my overview screen. I click on Customize. And now I can connect my ServiceNow connector, which stores my organization's employee HR data. So I install the ServiceNow connector and begin to set up the connection. To answer the question in the chat, the Workday integration will work the same as this. The connector works the same as this one. You just connect it, and then you'll be able to see that you're able to see it as you'll be able to see everything, all the data that will be revealed and all the scenarios that you can kind of light up from that connector, from the data coming from that connector. So you'll be able to go and you see these toggles, you'll be able to toggle on and off the data and the scenarios that you are going to light up. So for example, maybe you don't want an employee to be able to see their compensation details and say, hey, what's my compensation? I don't know, I'm just making that up. But that would be, some data that you can bring in from your connector, and you can just toggle that on and off. That's an example of where we kind of give you as much capability as we can for the agent via these connectors, and then you get to decide what you're going to get to light up for your employees. So I'm good in this example with the pre-configure enablement settings. So I click knowledge, and I'm taken to kind of this list of all of my knowledge sources. So any connectors I have connected to my external sources, like my ServiceNow or my Workday or my SuccessFactors, and then anything else, a public site, a PDF, something from my graph, my SharePoint sites. That's all knowledge sources I'll be able to add. So I'm going to add a new knowledge source here for my internal SharePoint sites. I'm going to add Relic Cloud HR's core SharePoint site here. Great, now it's added. I'm going to see it show up, but I want to make sure that only certain information from the Relic Cloud HR site is revealed in answers to kind of create the best experience for employees. So I click Relic Cloud HR Web, head over to Advanced Settings, and I'm going to make sure here that only information added from January 1st, 2024 on is going to be retrieved for employees to ensure that they're not receiving outdated information. Now, there are other settings that we'll have. I think it's created on date, it's created by date, who was created by, modified by, you can kind of set all those settings for anything that you add here. Why is that important? Because we know that a lot of our customers have vast knowledge bases, have vast amounts of pages and SharePoint sites and repositories where all of this knowledge lives for HR and IT and beyond, scenarios beyond for employee services. And they're not always up to date and they're not always relevant. And that's okay. I think we're all in that boat together. So we allow you filters here so that we're only going to, as the agent is kind of reasoning over everything it has access to, we're only going to allow it to, get certain information from what you've added. And I think that's should hopefully help with the kind of content cleanup or like content audit that you might have to do internally. So now I'm going to return to the overview screen. Oh, sorry. Now I'm going to go to the topics. So the topics here will be pre-configured. You'll be able to enable them or disable them. And they will be connected to the connectors that bring in the relevant data for you. So I'm going to show you, just for the sensitive interruption example, one of these topic workflows. So for example, if there are any kind of trigger words used, these will be pre-populated based on what we're hearing from customers as like the most important terms to include, and you'll be able to add, edit, customize, of course. Here's what we think should come next as a message and then as a step. This will all be pre-built for you, but you will then get to decide, hey, do we need to add a step? Do I want to pass off to a live agent? All those things that I mentioned as I was going through the kind of user experience, you'll be able to customize it, but you're not going to have to start from scratch. And it should be, a much cleaner experience than and less complex than maybe what you've had to do in the past when you're, building something custom. So going back here to our topics page, I also just wanted to highlight another example. So manage dependents. So I click on Workday, add dependents. And so this is like a kind of designated workflow, which is in a scenario that an employee like Kat from earlier in the demo, a new mom might be interested in doing directly from her agent experience. So here I'm going to be taken to this existing topic workflow. This is pre-built and editable for me, so I don't have to start from scratch. But if there is a certain process that you want the employee to go down in the agent, you'll be able to kind of add that logic or just say, hey, this looks good to me and it brings in the right data and we're good to go. And so that means that when Kat is then, goes back to the agent to say, hey, I need to add a dependent, she's going to be taken down this designated path that you've decided. Now, you don't have to do that if you have connected all of your systems and you have the right knowledge sources and you have the right, ticketing set up. You shouldn't have to designate this flow, but you can if you want it to be very prescribed. So here we're trying to balance, the reasoning powers and capacity of AI and the agent with the customization and kind of due diligence that we know you will need to, you'll need to have in your organization. Okay. So I'm going to now, I think, take us through in the last few minutes here, the roadmap and just some forward-thinking roadmap, even beyond what we're currently working on. But before I do, I wanted just to pass it back to Craig, just to talk about some early results from our Customer Zero internal Microsoft rollout and just like some thoughts, Craig, on the future of this. I know Silvina kind of touched on our rollout plan across the organization, but any like extra color and sort of what you're expecting to see in addition to what you're going to share here. So I'll just take you to the early results and then just let me know. I can be the Vanna White. Just let me know when you want to click on through.
Sure. And maybe context for these numbers. So I think there was a question in the chat earlier of how we were measuring ROI. Our early studies was essentially to say, we believe employee self-service as an agent in M365 Copilot will be easier, will understand context and provide more robust answers, and through the connectivity to our knowledge sources and systems of records will provide more help first time than our current suite of support, right? So in order to get to those results, as we've deployed, we went through A/B testing with our employee base to understand things like when you're going through these core scenarios, similar to what Lucy showed on understanding what you're eligible for on a leave and how to submit a leave, are you getting a more robust, more accurate, more complete response when using Gen AI and Copilot across all of our policies, or in the highly curated 2,000 responses that we have on our current instance of a chatbot? And that's that first number, right? Where we're seeing already on our initial deployment for 10,000 users, we're seeing that it's more likely to get a correct response. And that's due to that longer tail, right? It's inferencing over more knowledge. And then this middle part is also then saying, due to the context understanding and the natural language processing that is really aligning to the context of what you're asking for and giving a more complete response, they're less likely to then raise their hand and create a support ticket. And that is a similar pattern that we saw in the IT help desk, right? Where we're seeing self-help success rate increase by 36% compared to using traditional search or traditional kind of Q&A pairs in a chatbot. Where we are now, we've just deployed we're at 40,000 users across the company, across IT, HR, for knowledge, data retrieval, and for things like get help, right? Asking an expert. And really what our goal is to deploy to every employee at Microsoft by the end of this fiscal year, so by the end of June. And really what these patterns tell us is we really want this to be the front door support. So today in HR, a lot of people still use email. It's easier to email for help than it is to go and try and find the right path. This is the first signal we've had that's easier than email. It is easier to get people engaged on Copilot into this agent than it is to try to get them to install a separate app or go to a separate site compared to using their inbox. So that is one of those signals that we're really building on to say, is it easier than email? And then the other part is on our HR intranet today, we get 8 million visits a year. It should be easier to find the right information that you need at the right time than it is to open that webpage. And then you should have trust that you're getting the right curated response and the right link to go discover more. So they're the two patterns that we're really trying to solve for as we extend these early signals, which are really strong for us to say it's easier than email, it's giving more complete responses, and it is doing a better job than some of our current support and intake that we have across HR and IT. I think we're good to move on. And this is really the framing we've got in our strategy. So on the left, Chris Fernandez is one of our HR leaders that looks after our technology strategy, our employee experience strategy, and then Natalie, who leads our IT and our digital experience function, really investing in that technology and managing support. And this idea of how do you get out of navigating across 100 apps and tools to get to a single interaction layer that is familiar and is personal to you, understands your context, and helps you navigate where you need to navigate. That's this idea that we're really focused on HR. And then similarly in IT, how do we get to this focus on high complexity scenarios that then really help reduce support incident time and increase focus in our support teams on those higher complexity areas. And both of those are giving us really good traction to say any strategy for investing in new technology or new scenarios is employee self-service first. Right. So in HR, we're going through deploying a new applicant tracking system, a new career platform. On both of those scenarios, we're looking to say, well, what is the story with employee self-service? How do we connect it to where employees are versus trying to ship something new? So that's a little bit about how we're measuring the ROI and where we see employee services, self-service take us internally. I think, Lucy, it's back over to you.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Craig. Any questions for Craig and how to think about an internal rollout and those impact areas? Please put them in the chat. I'm going to go through roadmap in our last couple minutes here. just to kind of, I think this should hopefully provide some clarity and answers for what we're seeing in the chat. So this is not. I'm just zooming in a little bit for my own eyesight. This is not conclusive of everything that we're building, but this is sort of our minimum viable product as we move towards public preview and GA. You're going to see the 4 categories of knowledge retrieval, task completion, configuration, and then analytics telemetry, because we hear a lot from customers, hey, we need to be able to, see how employees are using this and get data around that. So in the knowledge retrieval area, you're going to see these 3 columns. There's C0, so that's what we refer to as our internal Microsoft rollout, public preview, and then GA. So for knowledge retrieval, we'll have SharePoint knowledge retrieval, so across all your SharePoint sites, M365 self-help, so all the work that Miriam has talked with us about today, Workday and SAP SuccessFactors connectors, ready to go and to bring in your information, ServiceNow knowledge base, and then Oracle coming a bit later at the GA timeframe. When it comes to task completion, again, Workday SuccessFactors, ServiceNow, D365 ticketing, Windows troubleshooter, Intune device diagnostics, and then again, a little later towards the GA timeframe, Oracle, Jira, and ADP. Moving over to the configuration area, and again, not conclusive of everything we're building, just really like the minimum bar of what we know we need to make available to customers. Obviously, being able to configure your HR and IT knowledge sources, and to do that separately for HR teams and IT teams. Agent topic workflow pre-install. So this is those topic workflows I showed you, having those available and lit up, and also having that agent kind of, kind of evident and available for you on that main screen in your Copilot Studio experience. And then official source tagging, which is what I talked about when we went through, hey, your response from the agent will have an official source so that the employee knows they can really rely on that. And then moving down to analytics and telemetry, we have vertical-based analytics. So this is going to be things like, hey, what are the themes bubbling up for employees around HR and IT topics? Where are they, where is their experience kind of breaking? Where do we clearly have some knowledge sources that are not up to date and helping the agent retrieve the right response? Those kinds of analytics. And then, of course, the adoption in that bottom row, the adoption analytics of, hey, is this being used? What is it being used for? Is this helping build our AI muscle in our organization and drive the impact that we're looking for? Yes, calendar year, CY calendar year. Yes, this is Oracle HCM. What does getting access to public preview look like? Public preview will be available to anyone who wants to have access to it. And, the space between public preview and GA is when we're really kind of fine-tuning everything that we've released at public preview. Cost in GA. So this will be free to M365 Copilot licensed users. For non-licensed users, they will be able to access it through Copilot Chat, which, if you're aware of our latest announcement around that, is our free version. And you will be charged on a consumption billing basis, so on a pay-as-you-go basis. And I can provide more collateral on that as well as a follow-up if helpful. Will there be any? I believe I answered that last question in my. Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, so we're at time exactly. We didn't have time for some of the polls that we wanted to field, but that is okay because I really want to make sure that I could leave you with these 3 resources. So, number 1, be the first to access public preview and GA. You're going to want to click or scan the QR code in that first rectangle, and there's a form there, so we will notify you and say, hey, this is available. Have at it, and of course with resources there as well. Second thing you can do is sign up for our best practices to prepare for ESS implementation webinar. This is taking place on March 19th, 9 a.m. PT. And this is really going to be a kind of step-by-step guide on how to prepare your organization for smooth, successful rollout. You're going to learn the key actions to take before implementation, best practices for readiness, how to ensure a seamless transition for your employee. These are all questions we're getting from customers as we talk to them around, hey, like, how do I make sure I have all my ducks in a row to light something like this up in my organization? And then finally, you can request a customer engagement if you're part of an EBC, your organization's part of an EBC, and you want, to request some employee self-service agent content in that. You can always do that, by letting us know. And I think we'll provide some of the links in the chat here. And if your Microsoft 365 Copilot licenses are active and deployed, and you're looking to learn more about how Microsoft HR has approached leveraging Copilot and the agent internally, you can also request time as well, and we'll provide that link as well, maybe in the follow-up. When you ask in your form, you should be willing to share content. What do you mean, i.e. the customer interest form? I just want to make sure I'm answering your question and kind of seeing what you're talking about here. I'm not seeing what you mean, but I will take a look and I will respond to the chat. I'll respond to the chat this call. Okay, so first I want to thank all of our amazing presenters. Thank you so much to Miriam, Silvina, Craig for kind of walking us through this great content. And we will see you next time, hopefully, at the implementation webinar. And in the meantime, please leave any questions in the chat. You'll receive an email if you've registered with a follow-up with the recording. And yes, again, thank you to our speakers, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Take care. Thank you all.